Love is rare and meant to be cherished, but sometimes we might take it for granted, only to regret it when it's out of our grasp. This is the case of Tom, who lost a love dear to his heart. Years later after their breakup, he is given a final opportunity to win her back in less than an hour. Will he be able to? Stay with me as we journey through the unfortunate past occasion when Tom first met his love 5 years ago, and how he tries to win her back within 45 minutes in the present. In the opening scene of Sparks and Embers, we see Tom Sanger at a bar with 2 drinks in his hands, walking towards his table. He gets a call from someone. While speaking on the phone, a woman's hand touches his back. The next scene is 5 years earlier. Tom is seated in front of Mr. Fit, who informs him that they have to let him go, because his work is getting stale and out of style. Tom is left dumbfounded, because he's just spent all his money and he's in debt. But the decision has been reached with the help of a consultant. So it is final. Tom heads to his office, packs up his things, and leaves the place. Then he heads to the elevator while he gets on a call from Dave, his friend. He is unable to get the main elevator, as another man takes the last spot. But he is impatient and wants to leave, so he decides to use the other elevator. But the problem is that there is a notice that no one should use the elevator, because it's under maintenance. While in the elevator, and still on the phone, he hears a woman's plea to hold it while she steps in. He proceeds to tell Dave his thoughts on the consultant who got him fired, named Alois Martin. His thoughts on her aren't good, and he insults her appearance. Meanwhile, the woman beside him checks the mirror to see if she's as he described, because she is Alois. Tom notices the expression on her face, and realizes that she's the one. She's the French consultant who got him fired. He quickly drops the call. Nervously, he raises his hand to shake hers, but the stare she gives him is not inviting at all. With this going on, the elevator stops working, eventually putting them in an awkward situation. In the present, Tom is startled, but he's relieved when he turns to see Alois. He pecks her, and she informs him that they only have a few minutes together, because she needs to catch the train. As they've only just gotten back in touch, he asks if she's going to be in France for Christmas and New Year, or just Christmas, trying to gauge if they can meet again. Realizing he made a mistake in misinterpreting her mail, Alois clarifies that she's moving back to France by Christmas, making Tom pause. He's sad, as it's going to be their last meeting together. They had a 4-year relationship that broke up 6 months ago. They sit down and are about to talk together, but she gets a message from Bill, her boyfriend, almost immediately, telling her to hurry. Tom just wants to know why, but she stops him, not wanting him to ask that kind of question. He wonders if she was always so annoying, but he was too in love to notice. As he tries to continue talking, she interrupts him to save it for his friends and psychiatrist. She wants them to just enjoy the rest of their evening and say their goodbyes, since she's already alright with Bill. Tom almost starts talking about Bill, but Alois stops him again. A vendor of roses walks up to them, and Tom almost indulges but stops himself. He even shouts at the woman, making her leave. They talk about random things, and Alois almost chokes on her drink when he makes a silly comment about Bill. Back in time, they're stuck in the dark elevator. Alois wonders why the lights are out. Tom tries to look for a switch or something, but doesn't find any. The lights come on almost immediately. Alois tries to get a connection, but it is futile. Tom wants her to give up, but this only gives her momentum, till she gives up and shouts instead. Tom joins her. Someone from outside, Tarek, tells them not to worry, as the engineer will be with them shortly. The funny thing is the elevator has a history of stopping regularly at least once a month. Alois is shocked, wondering why they didn't report it, but Tom already wrote an email. He makes a jab at her, claiming that if he worked there, he'd have done something. But she got him fired, so it's not possible. She denies getting him fired, and she only concluded that his job is redundant. Tarek informs them that they still have to wait for the engineers, making Alois annoyed. While Alois is pacing, Tom advises her to sit down, because they don't know how long they'll be stuck, and she is using up oxygen. She does not take his advice, claiming he's using more oxygen, as he's talking. Sighing, Tom lays his hoodie on the floor, for her to sit on. This gets her angry, because she's annoyed he's talking like she's a dog. Tom stands up, passing the wood, looking for structural weaknesses in the wall in case they have to break out, and Alois almost panics. Tom notices something. He tells her about the light and ventilation of the elevator, and Alois admits that she might have not fired him had she known him, triggering his annoyance. Tom sits down again, lamenting, because he's meant to be in a pub celebrating his freedom. Alois wonders if he's an alcoholic. They talk about him going to the pub early in the morning, and about his brother and friends, who will miss him that day. The expression on her face is just so annoying that Tom asks what he's done to her. She reveals he's like her last boyfriend, and Tom takes it as her flirting. Back to the present, the carolers start singing a beautiful song, and Tom is impressed. Until the last person joins in, spoiling their harmony. It's so bad that Alois and Tom leave before they start another song. But Tom drops some money as he goes. They continue their last date with a walk. Tom wishes they came earlier, as the night is nice, and Alois reminds him of always being late, such that he was late to his brother's wedding. He mentions his failed date with the songwriter. Alois takes a look at him again and compliments dressing, asking if he got a stylist. Wanting to know how she looks, she asks him, but Tom refuses to answer, because she might not like his reply. This annoys her because she wants an honest review and not flattery. Not one to lie, Tom tells her honestly that she's the best-looking girl he's ever seen. Eloise gets annoyed because she believes he wants something from her. Exasperated, Tom asks what he could want from her when she's leaving the country soon. Suddenly, she remembers that she is indeed leaving. In the elevator, Tom and Eloise are seated on the floor waiting for the engineers to come, but Tom is whistling, much to her annoyance. She asks if he can't sing instead, and he says he doesn't sing. This shocks her because he is into the music business. To calm her nerves in their unfortunate situation, he offers her a chocolate from his bag, but when she refuses, he puts it all in his mouth, eating ridiculously in an attempt to make her laugh. She finds it irritating at first, but laughs when it backfires on him. He has to sit up straight to eat, so he won't choke on it. She shakes her head because he takes nothing seriously. He reminds her that the company is a record company, not an accounting company. But being the uptight person, she says, she believes business is business, regardless of what they do. While arguing about their differences, they hear a strange sound. Eloise gets scared, and Tom calms her down. He urges her not to worry that the power probably went off. But the sound of another crash takes that calmness away as she hits the door with her heels, shouting for help. Tom almost laughs, and she gets annoyed that he's not worried about such a situation. But the truth is that Tom is worried, but he doesn't believe in panicking. Annoyed, she continues hitting the door, asking for help, and Tom secretly makes videos of her. In the process, her heels break. She is so frustrated that she curses Tom when she notices what he is doing. This brings about an argument, and after calming down, Eloise claims she wasn't panicking. He doesn't believe her though. She tries to fix her hopeless heel, but Tom collects it from her and fixes it instead with superglue from his bag. Back in the present, Tom steadies a falling Eloise and wonders what she drank. They head to a snack stand to get a snack, but it's not to Tom's liking. Eloise tells him that hearing what you want is not always the best for people, and that the truth always matters no matter what. However, Tom believes everyone wants to hear nice things about themselves. This makes him compliment her, then ends it with an insult. She laughs, and they get into a play. Later, Tom informs her that he wants to ask her something later on, and wants her to truthfully answer him. Back in the elevator, Tom sees some pairs of sunglasses lying out of Eloise's bags with the price tags intact, and wears one. She notices it and queries him for looking through her bag, but he asks why she stole them. She denies it at first, but confesses that she stole them because the shop owner was mean to her. She gives him a pair, and Tom lies down while continuing his whistling. She covers her ears. In the present, Eloise mentions how she'll miss the place. She takes out her camera to take some pictures. Tom realizes she's not using the one he gave her, and he gets annoyed. She confesses that her current ones are more convenient. She wants to take a picture of him. Since they don't have time, they decide to do the world's quickest photo shoot. She ends up taking different snapshots of him. Soon, she tells him to shut his eyes while she takes the pictures, but after a while, Tom doesn't hear her again. He stands up, searching for her, and at the entrance of the place she jumps on his back, laughing, and they head out together. In the elevator, Eloise sings for a while, and Tom compliments her voice. He's surprised when she says she once sang in pubs, as it doesn't fit her now uptight appearance. When he mentions the name of the artist she sang, they vibe a little, and he promises to get her a CD when they get out. Tom tries to locate the service, but he can't. At this point, Eloise is freaking out, but he tells her to relax, because they'll be there for a while. Tarek speaks to them again, informing them, to their disappointment and frustration, that the engineer is going to be another couple of hours, but he can get his uncle. He offers to rap for them, and Eloise thinks he's an idiot for offering in their situation. Tarek has always tried to get Tom to listen to one of his demos, but he never did. Tarek later comes to the front of the elevator, checking if they can hear him. He laughs when he finds out that Tom is stuck. Eloise wants him to help call someone, but unfortunately her battery is low, and she can't get the number. Out of frustration, she believes they'll soon hire someone else if she doesn't show up. Tom decides to get at her by saying they'll be even making Eloise hate him more. In the present, Eloise asks what happened to him after she left, and Tom beats around the bush, talking about how he sulked. Eloise queries him still, because it's a serious matter since he almost stalked her. Though it's a long story, she knows he can tell her for the rest of the 30 minutes they have. They continue their walk, and after a light joke and laughter, Tom gets to the serious issue of how he was messed up when she left. His whole life was shattered, but she doesn't want him to blame her. Getting serious, he tells her of how he got very drunk one night, when he woke up in a bush and was tired of life. He wanted to end it by taking vodka and paracetamol together, but he was stopped by a young man, who dragged him to a pub and played a song for him with his band. That encounter was how he got his life together. Eloise is shocked and warns him never to do such a stupid thing again. Still stuck in the elevator, Tom is bored and taps Eloise, who's listening to music. They begin to talk. But as they're talking, Tarek visits again, telling them that the engineer has been delayed once more, and they need to wait another 2 hours. Another wave of frustration washes over them. Tom decides to call a truce so they won't murder each other before they get out. He tells her of his fiancée Anna, who's 21 years old. Curious, she asks how they met, and he tells her his story. After the story of how he and Anna met through gigs, he asks her if she has a boyfriend. Though Alois doesn't want to open up to a stranger, she explains that she's been in some relationships, but doesn't have time now, because she's busy. She admits she gets lonely at times, and plugging her ear with the earpiece, she cuts the conversation short. Their walk continues in the present. Meanwhile, back in the elevator in the past, they go through Tom's music playlist. They also go to the bookstore in the present, and Alois laughs as Tom keeps being his foolish self. In the elevator, Tom asks Alois to tell him about her ex-husband she mentioned earlier. She tells him her story of how she married a penniless artist, and after he became successful, their marriage shattered. As she continues, Tom recognizes the artist and is surprised she was married to him. She caught him cheating on her and divorced him, got her alimony and children. Tom's surprised she has children. As it is getting hot, he takes off his shirt and trousers. Tarek comes over again, asking if they're okay. After refusing to listen to his freestyle, they ask him to get them water if possible. Seeing as Tom is closing his eyes, and she's been enduring the heat for too long, Alois tries to take off her outer shirt, and as she does, Tom opens his eyes, sarcastically asking her if she'd like him to shut them forever. She struggles to remove it, and he helps her, teasing her about her rose-colored bra. Meanwhile, in the present, as they continue their walk, they come across the rose vendor again. This time, Tom buys the bunch, even as the woman charges him more. Alois wonders what she'll do with it, because of Bill. In the elevator, Tom and Alois are asleep, but quickly wake up when they hear Tarek try to pry the door open. A hole is created, and he's able to pass water through a tube for them. Seeing this is possible, Tom requests some pizza. Looking at his belly fat, Tom makes a joke about going to the gym, and Alois immediately agrees with him. This triggers Tom, who feels she can be mean with her job. They get into an argument, and to win, Alois slips up, as she says that's exactly why she told the CEO to fire him. He gets annoyed, and she explains that they had to let him go because he used company money. Surprised at how she knows his secret, he explains that it was for his brother, who is in rehab, and he was going to pay it back. Alois feels bad when she tells him that he still has to pay the money back, even though he's fired. He gets annoyed and passes his phone through, showing Tarek the video of when Alois is panicking. When he gets the phone back, Alois quickly takes it and watches the video. Her eyes are teary because Tom just made her relive a bad memory. He reminds her of her father, who filmed her having tantrums, and he feels guilty. In the present, Tom and Alois hand out roses to very grateful strangers. For the last rose, she fixes it on his coat, as they continue their walk. He asks about her and Bill, and she explains that there are some ruffles, as everything isn't going to be roses. But even still, Bill is someone who understands her, and he listens to what she has to say. From her explanation, Tom doesn't believe that her relationship with Bill is an upgrade from theirs. This annoys Alois, although she can't pinpoint why she left him. Alois angrily walks upstairs to the roof garden, and he follows after her with her box. In the elevator, as Tom is playing with his phone rings. Didn't he claim there is no service on his phone? As he tries to hide it, Alois snatches it and picks up the call. She's annoyed that he had service and didn't tell her, even when he knew she wanted to call the office and explain her delay. Stressed, she steps to the side to stretch, telling him not to look, but Tom still looks through the mirror. At that point, Tarek comes over, handing them their pizza through the hole he created. He also passes tea to Alois, after Tom introduces them. On the roof garden, Tom begs Alois to let him know his offense, and she reminds him of their first trip to Amsterdam, where he was so high that she got angry. He claims he made it up to her, but he didn't tell her at that time, because of the expenses involved. She tells him that part of being kind is letting the person know that you're kind. She explains that at that time, he tried to make things work. This makes Tom get that he stopped trying. She explains other things to him, but the last straw was when he did what he wanted on her birthday, and made it look like a surprise, even after all her hints. Also when she begged him to tidy the house, but he had a party with his friends instead, leaving it messed up. So she just took her things and left. He apologizes for neglecting her, and asks about Bill again. Realizing that he just wants to know how unhappy she is with Bill, she pushes him, and he falls hard, but she still helps him up again. He finally confesses that he never stopped thinking about her, and to prove this, he shows her the album he made in her name, and the design of her face. Not ready to deal with him, Alois walks out on him, and he calls after her, reminding her that she's got his jacket. In the elevator, they're both by the space, trying to get air, when the iron they were using to hold it apart falls inside. Alois is shaken. But the good news is that the lift is alive. It's working again. Tom tries to calm her down, but she tells him to leave her, as they're going their separate ways from there. Tom leaves her alone, but sends the video he made of her to Dave. In the present, Alois hears the sound of a message and discovers that it's Tom's phone. She checks it, seeing a message from Dave telling him to leave Alois alone, since there are many fish in the sea. She gets a call from her boyfriend asking her where she is, and she assures him that she's on her way, and just has to say goodbye to her friend. She claims she is with a female friend. Tom overhears her conversation and she sighs, saying she has 2 angry men to deal with. He assures her that he isn't angry, since she's a hypocrite who lied that he was a female friend. Tom feels she lied to her boyfriend because she's a little in love with him, but she disagrees, telling him to shut up. This leads to them kissing each other. In the elevator, Tom laughs as he watches the video of her. Noticing it, Alois snatches the phone out of his hand, and she sees his messages with Dave. Enraged, she beats him up till she falls on top of him. He kisses her, and she slaps him and kisses him. They're almost about to start having sex when the light fully comes on, signaling that the elevator is working fully. They quickly dress up and stand in front of the door, waiting for it to open while holding hands. In the present, Alois confesses that she's still in love with him, and the reason she lied to Bill is that she wanted to have the day to be just about herself. She did not want to share him. But unfortunately for Tom, he has to share her. She apologizes for kissing him, but he's sad that he can't hold her. Then she reveals that Bill proposed to her. The hand he's holding slips away. Back in the past, as the elevator opens, they remove their hands from each other's and fully dress up. While Alois is touching up her makeup, Tom asks for the details of the proposal. Alois knew he would react like that, and is disappointed. But Tom reveals he has a big Alois-shaped hole in his heart, and she assures him he'll find someone. They continue their walk to the train station. Alois has not accepted Bill's proposal, but Tom feels that going to France to fix a vineyard is the same thing. She claims she is taking a risk, like he always advised. They finally come out of the elevator and see Tarek. They appreciate him for helping them all through. The news that Tom is leaving makes Tarek sad, but he assures him that he'll come around. Tom finally asks Tarek to freestyle for them, and Tarek happily does. They're sad to be separated, and Anna calls Tom just at that moment. However, Tom doesn't want to talk to her, as Alois is slipping from his sight. He finds a way to cut the call, before stopping her from walking out the door. Before Alois gets on the train, Tom confesses he has something for her. He hands her the gift, and is sure it won't get her in trouble if she destroys the note. He wants her to give up Bill and stay with him, but she tells him to convince her before she reaches the station. He lists several points, but she argues them all, until he says he loves her, and she turns his world upside down. Then she reveals that that's why she's leaving him. Meanwhile, in the past, Alois turns back, and he asks for her number. She calls it out, saying if he can't remember, it's up to him. Suddenly, at that point, his phone battery goes flat and his pen stops working. He memorizes her number, and after she leaves, hurries to find a pen from someone outside to write it down. As Tom and Alois are about to part ways at the train station, tears fill her eyes. She has to go, and finally leaves, because she refuses to be convinced by Tom. Alois heads to the train and sits in front of Bill, apologizing for being late. After she sits, she opens the gift Tom handed her and sees a pair of sunglasses. After putting it on, she listens to the one track he gave her, of random moments during their relationship. Finally, as she listens to a song he sang with his bad voice, she cries. She steps out of their coach, making sure Bill doesn't see her, and dials Tom's number, who is also crying as he heads home. On seeing her call, he picks it up and smiles. Does this mean she is finally considering getting back together with him? Only fate can tell.